Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us for the Let Me Introduce You podcast. I am Jen. This is Adarian, and we are here with a special guest, Chris Ruffolo. We are introducing you to Chris Ruffolo as part of the Let Me Introduce You series for the speakers that are going to be at the Biomechanics Movement Summit. Thank you so much for joining us, Chris.
You're very welcome.
We're excited. We're excited to be here with you. We are going to first start off with a brief bio about who is Chris Ruffolo. Chris is a physical education teacher and has been for over 20 years. She uses the classroom as a laboratory to incite curiosity about the environment and create opportunities for play. She also
Did you
works
write
with
that? Did you write that?
I got some skills.
She also works with adults of all ages and abilities with the primary goal of seeking to reignite the natural interactions of skills we once had when we were children. Chris is an expert in the area of play. A word
wait, is she self-proclaimed expert? I mean,
I just made a certification. I just asserted myself.
I was the one that proclaimed her as an expert in play. Adarian's when we did his earlier this week. He's a self-proclaimed movement genius.
Well, I'm not going to argue with that. All evidence points to yes.
Play is a word that has many meanings, including to engage in activity for enjoyment and recreation rather than a series or practical purpose. To amuse oneself is another definition. The 5 most agreed upon characteristics of human play are: play is an activity that is self-chosen and self-directed. It's intrinsically motivated. It's guided by mental rules. It's imaginative. And it's conducted in an active, alert, but relatively non-stressed frame of mind.
Wow, I can't believe that exists somewhere. But I'm like, yep. Got it. Okay.
So was I wrong about any of that introduction, Chris?
No, I mean the expert is suspect, as the kids would say. But other than that, I mean, it seems pretty descriptive of what I do.
Excellent. See, I'm good at the research part. This is why Darian just lets me do that part. He's good at the talking part.
Yin and yang.
You know what wasn't mentioned in that is because when you do your post and everything like that, a lot of times you don't say anything. But play doesn't require verbal communication. I think people have forgotten, it doesn't require verbal communication to go play and explore and have imagined curiosity and creativity. So I just want you to speak on that real quick about, because like I said, people misunderstand, like, she's not saying nothing. She didn't say anything. She did, but she didn't.
Yeah, and a big part of that is what I think, like, I don't want to lead you to look at what I want you to look at. What did you notice? Like, that's the whole part. Right. That's the whole part of what did you notice and pay attention to? Like, you have to be your own guide in that. Otherwise, you're dependent on other people to lead you anywhere than you are.
Right. So, well, I mean, even that there, and that's the funny thing about play. Like when somebody went outside to play, there was no bias about it. They went outside and they looked around and they go, I think I'm gonna climb the tree. Or I think I'm gonna go pick a flower. Or I think I'm gonna pull some grass. Or I think I'm gonna, and you just kind of did it and everything. And then you may see somebody else across the street doing something. And you look and you go, I think I'm gonna try that too. Or you may go join or whatever the case may be. And I think, like I said, I think that's the biggest thing that people are missing out on still is that part, that independent part of you're free to do whatever you want to do when you play.
Yeah, and I'll take that a step further, and that a lot of times you don't even have to forethink those things. You just walk outside, you notice a tree, you put your hands on the tree, and in that you're like, oh, and then you do. There doesn't necessarily have to be a plan. And that's when there's a plan, you are directed down a certain road.
Yeah.
Like, the whole point of play is that, again, it's your it's your journey. You could sit for a while, and it's so interesting to watch, when I watch what happens in the gym on an open day, and I'm not someone who just like throws stuff out there and then I'm on my phone. Like all I'm doing is like watching these kids. I'm watching how they find a partner. I'm watching what they choose. I'm watching when they change their mind, how they change their mind. Because it's very different in that non-adult atmosphere than when I say, okay, go get a partner. Like there's a little bit of like, whoop, I'm being told what to do versus like them just naturally finding the person they know or going next to someone or hearing another kid being like, hey, you want to play with us? Like in high school, like it's the most beautiful thing. And if I were to be like paired, all of that is lost.
Yeah. It's crazy and stuff. So yeah. And then I think too, you know, when it comes to movement, you know, especially movement exploration, it's one of those things. That's like, you know, when I tell people about, you know, biology, it was always fun because you get to cheat because you have your body. I mean, where's this muscle? Oh, it's right here. Where's it? Oh, it's right here. You know, and same thing like with play, like you get to cheat. Like you really get to cheat with the whole process. You know, as far as movement exploration and everything. And I think that's the other part too that people don't do is as part of the learning process of play, you know, like, so you touch the tree, you just got some information. And you know what, like, okay, this tree is kind of slippery, or this tree is not slippery, or this tree, you know, and based on that, the next thing's going to happen. Like, okay, I'm going to do this. Or you may look around like, oh, that branch is low enough, I can jump on that branch and I can climb up that way instead of trying to go up the, you know. And I think those people don't do either when they watch you. And that's that whole thing about what are you sensing in your body?
Absolutely.
You know,
yeah, and that's too like going into like, you know, the training world, like the nebulous training world, and you know, you have sets and reps. These prescriptions you're supposed to adhere to.
Yeah.
Again, there isn't a sense of play. It's like I'm checking off a list. I'm tuning out instead of tuning in, and just
yeah. I have this program, and it's funny. I always say, look at how many reps you do, how many sets you do is up to you. If you want to do one of these and move on to the next thing, do one and move on to the next thing. You know, if you want to do this, is all you want to do is this one thing. Then do this one thing. Yeah. You know.
And here's the weird thing: if you did not say that, they would get stuck.
Yeah.
Like this, literally, I see it. Well, what do you want me to do? How many should I do? How many do you want to do? Well, I don't know. Like, why don't you just try and go and see what, right? And it's wild. It's too, even in like the high school program where like I have a weightlifting class and it's really great. And just the way they talk about their bodies, and they all know that I like know what to do if something bothers them versus like do it anyway. So like both of my classes have all become like, hey, I have a problem here. Hey, I have a problem here. And so I'm just literally, you know, it's you create space for that stuff to come out and to actually deal with it instead of being ignored. And it's similar, like the programming I give them, because we have like, it's a 46-minute class, dress down, getting out there. It's about 25 minutes. So we're doing 5-3-1. And the beauty of 5-3-1, not only is it like a one lift, is that third rep, 1 plus, 5 plus, 3 plus. You're going to try to do at least 3 on this, and you're going to see how many you can get. So in the build of that, how I have, I guess, put it out there, is that third rep is the magic rep where you are like really testing where your body's at. I mean, you should have some idea in sets 1 and 2 how those felt, but this is really you in this moment, like locking in and being like, what can I do without pushing to the point of wrecking myself?
Yeah. Well, I think that's what, you know, Jen and I just came up with this, what we call guided assessment. In a way, it's a guided assessment.
And so Darian's being kind by saying that we came up with it, because I really was just the guinea pig. He's like, hey, try this. I'm like, okay.
That's a necessary component in the research world, Jen. The rats are necessary. Otherwise, it's all theory. So don't sell yourself short.
So, and that becomes part of it too, where this is a kind of a guided assessment of, oh, I can do 4 of these. Oh, I can do, or this, or, you know, versus, you know, an assessment that once again, they're told something, you know, okay, 1 RM means you can only do this here. You've been limited now versus, no, let me figure out let me use an assessment to guide me before I, you know, And I think that's a lot of it too, that people don't have that guided assessment that they're supposed to be. Part of this whole process of play is you're going to learn about yourself.
Yeah. It's an inner, I mean, the way and for the Vegas summit, the one word that I linked with play is there's an interaction. Like there is with a concept, you're trying to learn something, you're interacting with it, a thing, a person, the environment, you have to be in it in order to do it. Otherwise it's going through the motions, which is what I see a lot of the teens doing in the classroom. They just, okay, what do I need to look like? And then it's like, do you care about this? Do you want to get better? And they just kind of like shrug and like, okay, like it's all fawning and mirroring, and it could be anything they want, but it's all they know. Right. So for a lot of them, it's kind of like they know school as a less than experience, so they treat it as a less than experience.
Right. So now, what can adults take from you?
What can adults, the professional child, what can adults take from the professional child? I think just the simple recognition that your cumulative experience and all your cumulative habits and behaviors have essentially placed you in a box, or has essentially given you blinders that you might not recognize. And once you start to at least consider that is a truth, even if your life's great, like even if your life is like, you're like on top of the world and your life's great, if you don't pause and take an inventory of like, what's missing? What's the thing I don't like? Okay, why don't I like that? If you don't do that, all you do is you just get rutted into this way of being that is very limited of the potential of the experience of life.
Yeah.
It's a very like big statement. I don't even know how that came out of my mouth, but I was just thinking,
well done.
Well, because I think of all, like when I go visit family, like it literally has become like body work on all the relatives. And it's great because I can provide that service, but I'm just like, oh gosh, like they don't know how to move their neck. They don't know how to move their jaw. And it's like it goes to the kids when I say, well, move it a little bit. You just get a little bit of this and like this, and you're just like, not at all, but keep going, keep going. There's no sense. Like even think about the idea of the word move. Sometimes I have to use wiggle, and sometimes I have to use shake, because move is so nebulous to so like a quarter inch, 8 inches, twist, bend, flex, like their experience is so, and what they use their bodies for, and all it is limitation upon limitation upon limitation upon limitation. And the mindset that, what are you going to do? What are you going to, I'm going to get old. What are you going to do? Well, let me show you exactly what you could do. Let's get a little morning movement, quote unquote, routine that is just giving them these principles until it feels better, until it feels different, until it feels light. And that's, I think, just being to expand what you're able to do and believe you can do. Like how many of the lamenting of my mom, they'd be like, I can't go on the roof anymore and clean out the gutters. Right? Like I really like to pull weaves. It takes me about 4 days now, and it used to take me in an hour. But she still likes the capability. It's slower, but she still like wants to go and do it. Whereas like my dad's like, nah, like just let the weeds grow. He doesn't even, because he's cheap like me. Like he doesn't want to pay someone. He's like, it's fine. Like the winter will come, they'll die eventually. You justify this very limited existence, and man, can we sell ourselves? Can we sell ourselves that this is the way to be, that this is the best we got?
Right. Yeah, it's like when I cut my grass, it becomes a game. Because like I said, I cut one way. Okay, I'm tired of cutting this way. Then I cut this way. and I go diagonal, and then I try to turn circles, and then I'm thinking about, just how fast can I run over the grass, and will it cut it better now? How fast, So, and I think, like I said, I think that's, because cutting grass is no fun, but if we play, we'll make it fun. Then all of a sudden, it's done with it.
That's it. That's it. Same thing. Pulling weeds. People, you got this like animal flow and low gait. It's like, I'm just gonna stay in the squat. I'm just gonna maneuver down here. I'm just gonna pull all these things. And it could be an annoyance, but when you know how to play, it becomes an exciting task, and not like, I gotta go pull the weeds.
Yeah. That's why we start too. Like when I see stuff like animal flow and stuff like that, I'm thinking like, go garden.
Yeah. And I know, like a caveat, don't want to knock it if that's your thing, but it's even the whole symbiosis of like the movement world, right? Stuck in their training. And then I think about like, hey, have you checked in on your parents? Like maybe they need their gutters cleaned out. Like you're such a great unbalance, like pop up on that roof and clean it, make it valuable for them.
Put it to use. Yeah. Put it to use. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's like, remember the time we went hiking?
Mm-hmm.
Chris took me hiking.
Those of you that are listening, listening and can't see, Adarian just circumnavigated, I guess, the world a few times. Is the sense that I got from this hike.
But we had fun. I mean, we had fun, and as we're hiking and stuff, I hear creatures, and I'm pointing out like, I can see where the creature's at, and Chris look at me like, how do you see that thing? She's like, yeah. And it was funny, and I was like, because I was just, and once again, because to me, even on that hike, I'm playing, I'm exploring now, and how do I blend in? I want to blend in so the creatures don't run away and all that kind of stuff, and make the least amount of noise and everything. But it was a play, it was a play event for me.
Yeah, and that's a synthesis of like, what this whole thing is about, like play, like what do you notice? What do you notice that is interesting or pleasing to you? And like that's the starting point.
I don't know if Jen had questions for you. Jen usually has a script.
Cut to the written down portion.
No, I was going to kind of let it free flow. I mean, we covered most of it. I was going to ask how you incorporate.
Script?
Well, I had like 2 questions, but I've interviewed Chris before. I know it always goes very smoothly. So. Sometimes with you, I have to reel you in a little bit. I'm like, Adarian's way out here. I need to like bring it back to the
galaxy, man. It's in that other galaxy. Know what it's like over there.
So what do you think about the Vegas event? So what do you think about,
Oh, I'm super jazzed. First of all, the school's paying for it. So I'm just like, bang, so I got my professional development. I'm like, I'm presenting, so I don't have to pay to go. Could you pay for my hotel? They were like, yes. And I was like, right. So, but that's just my aside. Like I'm already winning with that. But I'm excited to have like folks in a room. I'm excited to have the synergy within that. I'm excited to have curious people show up to interact. And again, my presentations are kind of like conversations to me. Same thing I do with the kids. I never want to talk at you. I want to talk with you.
Yeah.
So I just think being able, because to think a different way, quote unquote, is one thing, but to be able to communicate that and to communicate your process is a very different skill altogether. So what I find is like with all the populations that I work with, being able, that's like the fun of it for me. I mean, even though it's quote unquote the same stuff, how you reach, how you engage, what you say, how much hands-on, how much hands-off, like all of that has to be tinkered with and manipulated to like directly impact this person or this group of people. So I'm very interested to not only have a venue in which to do that, but to also observe how others. I remember when I used to do the circuit of like going to seminars and workshops, I realized I wanted the information, but I very suddenly was like, oh, what I really after is how are you getting this information out there? What does this look like? And so I'm also curious in that being, 4 or 5 years removed from wanting to go to any other kind of seminar, to see what does this, I mean, it's a very special format. The idea that we're all like in this big hotel suite, there's it isn't like Perform Better where you come in, there's a projector, there's seats, you listen, you leave, maybe you get a photo and you smooze with the person, like whatever it is, but it's like it's what I feel is really cool about it is the separation of the pedestal between audience and presenter. Like we're just a group, this is a round table. We're just a group of people trying to interact with you, trying to get your questions so that we can be better at what we do, and trying to impart what we've come to know as our way or our way of seeing things.
Yeah.
And quick funny story about actually Chris's portion of the Biomechanics Movement Summit. When I submitted this for CEUs, the only question they had was, how is play relevant to strength and conditioning programming? I almost lost it. They got 6 research-based papers back from me.
This is like, get him, Jen, get him. I don't know what to do in this situation. I mean, I can talk to them. That means nothing, but she just throws down authors.
Right. So
how would you have defended that?
I think the simple reflection would have been, well, how do you know what to do and how to do it? If I'm not interacting with this barbell, if I'm not feeling around, if I'm not shifting, if I'm not unable to interact with this thing, how do I move it efficiently?
Right.
How do I let it change me and me change it? Which is that reciprocity of things.
Yes.
So in general, I think, just getting out of the rote, like this on a board prescription kind of stuff is that, and the top of that is this idea of like work versus play, like they are opponents, that work is this glorified, you're going to get what you want through work. I'm like, I know what I see through just work? A lot of broken bodies. You know what I see through play? A lot of smiling faces.
Yeah.
So it's almost like I know the story. I lived the story. Like I lived in that world, identified with it, and it got me broken. So entering this world of play and start to be like, maybe we had it right all along. We don't watch enough kids, right?
Right.
We try to make kids into adults, which is like taking everything good in the world and like throwing it in the trash because you want someone to comply.
Right.
All right. Anybody have any extra thoughts they want to add? Darren, you have any other questions?
No. I mean, I think I got all my stuff in. I mean, part of like I said, part of this whole introduction, like I said, even the whole, let me introduce you. This is part of too. Like I said, people have seen Chris, but they never been introduced to Chris.
Exactly.
And so that's part of this process, and that's what I like about the Vegas thing too. Is a chance for people to be introduced. And it's the only thing out there where you get a chance to be introduced. Like you said, you can actually introduce and interact with these folks because that pedestal is not there. That separation is not there. You'll be in the same room. You can stop them. Hey, I don't quite, hey, what, hey, what he's saying right there, how would you make this play happen? What he just, so I think it's a different dynamic, and to me it's invigorating and exciting.
And do you feel, oh, go ahead, Chris.
Oh, no, I was just going to kind of agree.
Yeah. Because Chris, do you feel the application of play can be like multidisciplinary?
Absolutely. I mean, I literally am in service in the school, and like, I'm like, is nobody reading this room of like how, like, and I know you're supposed, like, again, you're supposed to do that. Like, again, interacting is being with. I could be with the plant. I can be with this computer. I could be with this chair. I could be with this light. I could be with this room. And every single switch of attention, like a switch on a TV, like allows me to exist a little differently. And I don't know. I think the more existence we can get, the better off we are. at the very least, we are able to, there's like so many cop cars outside my house right now. I'm like, is there a raid happening? But the more I know, I'm like looking at you and I'm looking outside. But the more we can like let ourselves experience in general, the more potential we have to be on a path that suits us instead of what was chosen for us or what we settled for.
I love that. That's quite lovely, actually.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm like, and I guess maybe one more encapsulating, and we talk about this idea of play and exploration. In order to explore, I have to in some way be dissatisfied with where I am.
Right.
I have to have a belief that elsewhere, at the very least, might be pretty good too. So having those, right, that is that first step. And then there's the skills of navigation. You know, I think about like leading people to like a big old cave, all types of people. Again, you think about a PE class, all types. You got varsity athletes, you got like, you know, definitely kids on the spectrum who like don't want to be social and like want to look at birds all day. And you're like, okay. And so you're just like all dropped in the front of this cave. And some guys are just going to run inside and go nuts. And some are going to be very tentative and hesitant. And some are just going to look at a fern and stay with that fern. And the thing is, it's like, and this is the thing about classes where you're supposed to do one thing. The undercurrent is that you're all right. You can all do whatever you want to do in this space. It is yours. And that's the beauty of ownership. The real beauty of ownership is that you could take it or leave it. The other side of things as well is there's like literally a cop car in my house right now. He's like calling me outside. Oh. So I don't know if he's pointing at, he's talking at okay. So they're actually coming to my door right now. I'm gonna make sure see it. I guess it's time to go. All right, I'm gonna just open my door and close this call. We're live.
Good.
All right.
Thank you, Chris. Bye. So thank you, everybody, for joining us for the Let Me Introduce You podcast, introducing you to Chris Ruffolo. And Adarian, tell us a little bit about the Biomechanics Movement Summit, when it is, where it's located, how people can find out about it.
Mandalay Bay, Las Vegas, Nevada, January 12th and 13th. 5 speakers on hand. It's 2 days. You know, I think we got 90-minute sessions. Is that what we went with?
No, we have 55-minute sessions.
55-minute sessions. You know, there's gonna be a breakout lunch and a breakout dinner.
That is correct. Yeah. You
know, for everybody and things like that. So you can find it on the website, biomechanicsmovementsummit.com. We're also on Instagram. There's a webpage for it at the same time under the same name, where you can register and all those kind of things and get more information.
Perfect. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. If you have any questions, just hit us up in the DMs.